Mitch Thompson.
Jack Meyn.
Cheers for jumping on.
Thanks for having me, bro.
I'm Jack Meyn. This is the Get That Skate podcast. Very happy today to have Mr. Mitch Thompson here, an Australian downhill legend. I'll address him like that. He might not say the same, but
Definitely not.
People across the country, you've heard the name, and we thought it would be a good chance to get him on the show and talk some stories about the last few years and go through some of the accolades and what's been happening. What has been happening, Mitch?
Not much, bro. Just been on the jobs, been working, been not skating as much as I should.
Yeah.
So, but trying to save up for whenever the world opens and we can get to it.
Interesting times not being able to travel. Like you've probably been like full ball the last couple of years before COVID hit.
Yeah, it makes living in Bathurst bearable when you can travel away from it every 6 months. But I don't know. Bit at a loss at the moment. Don't know what to do with myself. Yeah.
So, again, I appreciate you jumping on, and I feel like it's going to be a good chat and go through some important things just because there's a lot of people out there that listen to the podcast and there's so many stories that just haven't been heard. Like, as you can see in front of us, you got, your Gold Coast medals, your trophies, your pro model, but there's so much behind how those things came about. And I appreciate you jumping on. So,
let's get to it.
When did you start skating?
End of 2012. Got a board,
but
really got into doing the downhill in start 2013.
Yeah, right.
What was my first? A Vault Psycho Prosciutto.
Yep.
It was like an Evo knockoff.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Got into it like that and went to a pumpy race.
Okay.
Early 2013. It was like Grombom.
Yeah, Grombom. Yeah.
Yeah, went and checked that out.
Yep.
Went on from there and just met up with local people in the scene that were in Bathurst. Morgan Holland was a big influence.
Yeah.
Used to pick me up, take me to the hills around town, and would get into it.
Yeah.
Few cheeky runs of the mount when I was definitely not up to doing the mount. Bit of road rash.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really the start for me. I kind of went up and saw the race. 2013 when Morgan was in it, and I was like, one day that's going to be me. And then the race didn't happen for about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And had to go do other stuff besides that race. But
So just touching on Bathurst and where you're from, growing up in Bathurst and having, the Mount Panorama, Bathurst 1000, and then obviously getting into skating and hearing about Newtons and whatnot. What's it like having that in your sights, or growing up in a place where the racetrack is like the center of everything, and getting the opportunity to, you get into downhill skateboarding and then you get to ride the track that the town is known for?
Yeah, in one mind, it's like you treat it like a normal road just because it is. You just drive it and it's just normal. In another mind, it is special.
Yeah.
So getting to actually skate it properly and do a proper event there and, race people from around the world there, it's very special.
Yeah.
I only live 5 minutes from the track. So
yeah,
it's in one mind, it's it's just the mount.
Yeah.
In another mind, it's that's a special thing.
Well, from people out of town like myself, I grew up with my old man and my uncle, watching the motor racing every year whenever it was on, and, tuning into the 24-hour. And then when I got into downhill skateboarding and hearing about, Newton's Playground back in the day before it was Newton's Nation, it's just like, are they really riding their skateboards down this road?
I couldn't believe when I first saw it either. I actually went up in 2012 for the scooter comp, I think. I was into scooters and stuff
that.
Yeah,
we'll have to chop that out.
Went up there to check out even just vert and stuff like that. I didn't even know what downhill was. And then they're like, they're skating off the side of the mountain. I saw it and I was like, wow, what are they doing?
So we'll touch on your experiences at Newton's a bit later on. But just the early days, tell us about the early days. You got, what was the first serious downhill board you jumped on?
It was probably, there was a board company called Kuya.
Okay,
Longboards, remember them?
Yeah.
Got one of them. They were good boards.
Yep.
But actually serious was probably a Buston Mechanic or something like that.
Yep.
A probably well-known board, and got on that, got some Bear trucks, some Precisions off some team rider at the top of the mountain. I never know who it is.
Yeah, right.
He just was at the top, everyone sells their wheels.
Yeah.
He was selling everything. He was selling boards, leathers, I don't know what he was doing.
Trying to get his ticket home.
Pretty much, he was a European bloke. I don't know who it is, but bought some Precisions off him and don't even know what wheels I had back then. Probably orangutan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the first proper setup where we started bombing hills, learning how to slide.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I've said it to a lot of people whenever, we'll throw an event on the coast or a session, Mitch is coming. It's just I don't know if I've met another person in Australia that's put as many kilometres in for downhill skateboarding as you have.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky. Like, mum and dad come up here, up to the coast, to have a little holiday, and I'd always hit you up and go for a skate with all the boys. And, like, back in the day, it was crazy. You had, like, 20, 30 people at sessions.
Oh, man.
And I'd come from skating with 1 or 2 people to 20 or 30 shredders, like, really good people.
Yeah.
And, and then when I got my car, just travel back and forth, skate up here, skate down Sydney, wherever I can, because Bathurst isn't really known for good hills.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, Sydney, Australia, it's not the capital, but it is our most well-known city. How far from Sydney are you?
3
hours?
3 hours,
so, And I'm about 45 an hour north of Sydney, so for Mitch to, all the events are always on the East Coast, like in New South Wales, of course, and to travel so far and to get out to all the events. Because I was thinking back when I was, preparing for this podcast, thinking about all the events back in the day, like the classic Rob Dog events and Hopkin and Baseman putting on events. Is you'd always show up and see, your face there. And it's like when you take into account all those trips you had to do living so far away, it's a lot goes into, getting to those events, but just staying a downhill skateboarder for this long and still showing up to all these events. People don't think, I jump in the car and go 45 minutes and I'm like, man, I didn't want to have to drive this far. Then I think of you and you're all the way out in Bathurst. But so it's the early days. What was it like in Bathurst? Like, as you said, only skating with a few people. When did you start to get like a bit of a scene going?
Like there was a kind of a scene there, but they were a bit maybe above the level that I was at, and I didn't really skate with them much, and then they kind of faded away, and then for a bit it was just me and Morgan. And then I'd go up to the mountains and meet up with Lockie Ray every now and then. A couple other mountain people, and we'd skate. But then the scene really kicked off in Bathurst in like end of 2014, 2015. There was a few groms coming up. A few good groms. They turned out to be racing wise.
Right.
And the scene kind of kicked off from there, and we ended up with a good group of around 8-10 people, and that's enough. That's a good size. And it's been good. So who are some shredders? I know you mentioned Lockie Ray, who's almost known as a bit of a sidekick too. You guys are always getting to the events and getting around and traveling. Who are some other shredders from out that way? We had
the crew. Let's shout the crew out.
Jaden Howarth. He was a grom. He was a super grom. He won races like no tomorrow.
Yeah, when right. He's a big fella, eh?
Big fella. He still is, and he always was. Just muscly fella. Back in the day, we had people like Luke Miller. We had who else do we have? Jack Toomer used to live down in Bathurst. We had, we had the newer boys now. The boys from the mountains that moved to Bathurst. We had Luke Breeden. Alex. We had Tally. We had this house, like a skate house in Bathurst.
Yeah, right.
And the scene kind of just exploded.
I feel like you need to touch on the skate house. So who actually lived at the skate house?
Everyone.
Everyone, the whole town.
We had Jordo as well. He came up, he's still shredding, but he a bit sore at the moment with the shoulder. But the skate house, like Luke, Tally, were meant to live there. Mickey lived there. And then Alex lived under the stairs for a bit, full Harry Potter spec for a couple months. Jordan lived in a glorified hallway. On a futon. So that was good. And it was a skate out. They skated every day. They went out. I was working. They were out skating. They had a good life.
Yeah, man. It's some, if you're lucky enough to experience that and then come out the other end all right, then you gotta be happy about it, eh? So just back to the early days, like you get your Kuya board or your Bustin board and events start popping up, probably held by Hopkin, or I don't know about that time, Basement maybe, but Rob Dog was putting on a lot of events. So what were some of the first events you started going to and actually, crossing the line and doing all right at?
I went to a Rob Dog almost out. Remember that year in the rain? Yeah. Went to that one. I came like 5th. The first semis I made, and I was stoked. I was like, sick. And went to that one. Went to Deep End and stuff like that. Came like 2nd or 3rd at Deep End, and didn't really win any races till like a pumpy race. Can't remember what Death Duel I think it was, something like that. And then that's when it kicked off and finally started winning some stuff and working out. I'm half good at it, and
So was that? Were you thinking when you started, doing well at those events, or this is something like obviously you enjoyed it, but you love and you're going to keep going harder?
I never looked at the aspect of like traveling and being a world skater with it because I didn't know how you did that.
Yeah.
Like I spoke to Rob Dog about it and he just made it seem so simple. Like he just went and did it and I was like, there's no way you just go and do it.
Yeah.
And then, so I don't know, just kind of snowballed from there. But the first big win was like Yarra 2014.
Okay.
Drove all the way down there to Yarra
which is in Victoria, the state below. Yeah.
Yeah, about 8-hour drive. And Mum and Dad had come and watched me at a few events.
Yeah.
I think Wild Wild West was on before that.
Yeah.
And didn't go too well there, I don't think.
Yeah.
Because it was only one category. But Mum had seen it and she had freaked out. Dad had seen a little bit of it.
Yeah.
They came down to Yarra and that's when they fully like understood what it's about and how safe it can be.
Yeah.
And all that. And ended up coming away with a win there, which was like my first actual prestigious kind of win. And it all took off from there, really like started picking up a few sponsors and stuff like that. And
so that Yarra event, what year was that again?
2014, end of
2014. Yarra Rangers held down in Victoria, and the conditions that day, they weren't exactly ideal, were they?
I don't think I've ever been to a proper dry Yarra. But yeah, they were raining, cold. I just remember Benbro at the top of the line, shivering like no tomorrow.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to fall apart. It was that cold. And yeah, it was just cold. Couldn't see, visor up, visor down. Nothing helped. But yeah, it was adverse conditions, but it was good fun.
I've heard stories about you could barely see 20, 30 meters ahead of you.
Yeah. There was a white line in the middle of the road and you kind of wanted to ride that because you didn't know what corner was coming up unless you remembered, and I didn't really remember much, but you were in the middle and you're like, oh, it's a right. Oh, now it's a left. And then there's a straight and you just didn't know what was going on. You were just turning, open for a finish line.
So it's good to get that Yarra win back in the end of 2014, but being a Bathurst boy, what was your first time skating the track in an event? Because I'm guessing that you would have, seen that people do skate it at Newton's time, and being a young fella in Bathurst with a board, of course you're going to go up and maybe go to the top of the elbow or something. But event-wise, what was your first time skating Bathurst like? Yeah,
so 2017 when the event came back, that was the first time, and different. So like I've skated from the top, as you like said, and all that, but closed track, it's a different animal. I know I'd probably rather skate it open kind of thing. With the hay bales and all that, makes it narrower and just I know you're in leathers and you're trying real hard and it's a bit more scary.
So unlike other events on the world circuit, just in case there's anybody who isn't quite familiar, you'll go to your Kozakov over in the Czech Republic, there's hay bales at the side of the road, and on the other side of the hay bales there's a couple meters of grass. Or you go to other events and there's hay bales and sometimes it feels all right to hit them, but you're not jumping on your board to go and hit the hay bales. Where Bathurst, the other side of the hay bales is a wall.
They don't move very much.
So if you're hitting those hay bales, you want to cross your fingers that you're hitting the hay bales and not the wall behind it. So people kind of forget like the features of Mount Panorama and how dangerous it can be. But your first event there, how did it go?
Went pretty well. Ended up on the podium.
Yeah, right.
Was super stoked with that. Came in third behind Moritz, who won it. And then Carl Wester. Yeah, right. Who I think that year was like the fastest man in the world or something like that. So
how good.
I was pretty stoked. I thought I was going to beat him. And then at the bottom, he just like swooped me and got me. And came in third and that was like super stoked. The whole town was kind of
because I remember there was a bit of like a press following for leading up to that event, like local boys going to take on the mountain kind of thing like that. So
up to that point, I was pretty infamous. Because I had the whole Dumb and Dangerous thing and all that. So like I was kind of known around the town per se, and I had a few videos that were like semi-viral, not very viral, but I was known around the town, and then it was a bit of a hype on me to win, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to win. I've never won a race, but I'll try. And ended up on the podium, and the town was stoked.
Man, you got to be happy with that.
Oh, super happy. I was happy to even be in finals.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
All that.
I remember seeing a bit of the press and on the articles that were shared to hype up the event itself, and there was a bit of a focus on you being the local boy. Where that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it can be.
Especially when you hadn't skated the event.
Yeah, I hadn't ridden an event setting. I didn't know what to expect. Yeah. Like I knew the track, but I didn't know how to do it. Yeah.
But back then, it was a little unfamiliar to see an Aussie up on the podium. So yeah, when you got third that year, and seeing an Aussie up on the podium, like every other Aussie skater that was at that event, and even sitting at home was just like, we got something happening here.
Yeah, that was it was a big one. It was good.
Yeah.
Like I'd had one other podium before that on the tour.
Yeah.
But having it at your hometown and all that was just ridiculous.
See, this is what people kind of forget is, if say there's a race on in California, right, and there's somebody from California and they win it, it's like, or they get on the podium and it's like, oh, a hometown person.
Yeah.
Where Bathurst isn't.
It's not a big town.
It's not a big town, but it's your hometown.
Yeah.
So if someone from Sydney won it, they'd probably run it as, hometown hero.
Yeah.
Where you are full on hometown, Mount Panorama Bathurst.
Couple minutes from the track kind of thing. Yeah. Walk it often and all that. Yeah.
Mental.
It's just a backyard track.
Yeah, man. So, actually, you just mentioned Dumb and Dangerous. Just for those listening out there, tell us about Dumb and Dangerous.
So, it was 2016 right at the start. I think Max Vickers had just landed in Australia and he was like here for a week or so.
Okay.
And took him out skating and we went to Hawkesbury Road, Hawkesbury Heights.
Yeah.
And we just filmed a run. Didn't think anything of it. We were skating it all day, no worries. And that road had just gotten repaved not long ago. Yep. So like we were skating it pretty often. Cops weren't really an issue kind of thing. And got home and I let it sit for like a week or two, I think, and released the GoPro video from his point of view of me skating it.
Yeah.
And going down it and kind of just like hyped it up a bit and said we were breaking speed limits because it's 80 Ks down the bottom and the GoPro said we were doing 88 or something like that.
Yeah, right.
And it kind of just shot off a bit. And then it was kind of bad timing because I was going to New Zealand to skate Kaikoura. Yeah. And so I was on the plane or about to get on the plane and had someone from a current affair hit me up.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, oh, let's go. Read the email and they're like, call this number, yada, yada. We want to talk about something. So I was like, oh, current affairs is a big time. Maybe they're going to hype it up more. Yeah. So I called them and they're like, oh, there's like police investigation on this and all this. And I'm like, oh, okay, right. And they're like, oh, yeah, we just want to get your point of view. I'm like, yeah, I'm about to be on an aeroplane going to New Zealand. It's like, oh, it's fine. We're going to have a media crew meet you there and we can do the interview there. And I'm like, hung up the phone. I'm like, I'm going to think about it because it didn't make sense. Yeah. And I'm like, they're going to twist it. Yeah. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So I just emailed them back, said, no, I'm not interested in the interview. They're like, that's fine. We're going to run the story anyway. So get to New Zealand. The stories ran, I think, that night or the next day or something like that, and watch it. And they had the police commissioner on there saying if I hit an echidna or something and all that. And basically the big slogan was dumb and dangerous. He's the most dumbest and dangerous skateboarder, and added car horns to it and made it ridiculous.
Yeah,
and all
they
that.
added all audio in.
Yeah, they added like Mario Kart beeps and stuff in it.
Oh,
and
I mean,
but it was pretty funny reading the comments on the video because you get the usual people that are like not stoked, but then you get the people like, just leave him alone. He's just riding the road. It's fine. So it was bad media, but I think it was kind of good media in a way. I don't know. It definitely helped my image a bit, I think. Helped boost my name out there, but yeah.
And then you kind of took on that Dumb and Dangerous name for a while there, eh?
Yeah, I was kind of poking fun at the media for a bit. Every other video I'd release, I'd be like, come on, share it and stuff like that. Yeah. But I went to New Zealand, actually broke my ankle. Yeah. Came back and then skated with Max Vickers again. We thought, this would be a good idea. And we filmed some more stuff. Then I filmed another one with a broken ankle and that didn't go on a current affair again, but they shared it to their page and stuff like that. So they were definitely watching and
all eyes on you.
Pretty much.
Yeah, tell a current affair, just share this podcast if you want to get some views.
Tracy.
Yeah. Tracy. Shout out to Tracy. You always shout everyone out.
Yeah.
But yeah, just touching on Kaikoura. So was that your first time to Kaikoura?
Yeah, that was my first time. That was that was actually my second time. I went in 2015. Right. And that was my first international event. Yeah. So basically went to Yarra in 2014. Yeah. And then mum and dad were kind of like, they were stoked on it. They're like, oh, well, what other events are there? And I just joked. I'm like, I was one in New Zealand. Yeah. They're like, yeah, let's go. And I'm like, okay, let's go. Went there, competed as a junior, came fourth. I think I crashed in the finals or something like that. Yeah. I'm pretty good at crashing in finals. And then I was like, I'll go back in 2016, not as a junior because I was too old. And I'm like, I'll race opens. I think I'll do pretty good. Yeah. Anyway, third run, I was on some these protos that Rob Dog gave me. Okay. And they just slid out around the top corner. I just went straight into it and broke my ankle. I tried to race, but I just couldn't even push or balance on the board. And then, came home and I think it was like 3 weeks or 4 weeks to Mount Kira. Yeah. yeah, race Mount Kira with a broken ankle too. I was not missing out on that.
Yeah.
It was a sick event. And then, really stumbled into the World Tour from there.
Yeah. Literally stumbled in.
Yeah.
Man. So you've been to New Zealand a few times as well, haven't you? Yeah. So
been there a couple of times.
Back to Kaikoura, and you've done a bit of Mount Rupehu as well.
Yeah, did Mount Rupehu end of 2015.
Yep.
That was sick. It was wetter than Yarra.
Yeah, right.
So it was same thing, visor up, visor down. You weren't seeing anyway, and it was foggy. And I think it ended up drying up, but the qualifying at the start was all wet.
Yeah.
Which suited me because I was light.
Okay.
It's a bit more of a fat boys track.
Yeah.
And qualifying in the wet, I was going real well, and then the dry just got bumped down the list so far. And then race day was pretty much wet and drying, and I got kind of shown what it takes to be 60 kilos versus what it takes to be like 80, 90.
Yeah, those bigger boys.
Yeah, Bassie destroyed there.
Man. So jumping across the ditch, because I know you've been back to Kaikoura a couple of times. Like, did you go the start of last year?
No. So I was kind of not banking on, but I was like, I'm not going to go Kaikoura because I need to save my money and put it elsewhere. Yeah. And I was more looking at it from a RDF point of view. I was like, I want to get to RDF events more so. And unfortunately, Kaikoura just couldn't fall into it. But hindsight, should have gone because it would have been the last international event for a while.
International event.
Yeah. And
so how'd you go at the last Kaikoura that you skated?
Jeffy beat me.
Yeah.
And then at the line, Taylor got past me too.
Yeah, right. So you got third there?
Got third, yeah.
So let's talk about that number.
Comes up a lot.
Third place. It's changed since, a couple of years ago. Because, we'll talk about that later on, your number ones and whatnot. But tell us about that string of thirds.
So it was more 2017. Yeah. So it was third at the Mount. Yeah. And then I was stoked with it.
Yeah, you got to be happy with that.
And then we went to the Philippines. I got third again. And I was like, back-to-back podiums. That's good. And then I went to Korea. And then got third there. And I was like, okay, what's the go here? I was still happy to be on the podium as you would be, but I was like, surely I can get second or something. I was pretty close, and I was like, third again, we'll settle for that. Yeah. And then just went overseas, like to Europe and stuff like that, and made a few finals, and every time it would just seem to be third. Yeah, third place no matter what. I don't know what the go was.
Third place.
Third place curse. Yeah.
Yeah. And what board were you riding around the time of those Newton's events and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I've been on Rayne for that long now. They were my first real sponsor.
And how did that come about?
So Cam Kite.
Yep.
Shout out to Cam. He was the Rayne team rider. Yep. For like Australia kind of thing back in the day. Yep. And I don't know if he saw something or I just bugged him enough as a grom maybe. Yeah. But it came about just like he kind of flowed me aboard. It was a Fortune.
Okay.
Who flowed me that. I don't think Rayne even knew who I was. I was just kind of like Cam's Rayne grom.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of evolved into something, and that was about end of 2014. Right. Just about Yarra time, I got a new board.
Yeah.
It was a Rayne one. And I've been on them ever since. So I've just been skating Rayne and worked my way up through the ranks from a nobody in the team to like a flow rider to like a full-time rider. And yeah,
it was something special coming on the way.
Yeah, there's something working on. Been to the factory ages ago. And
So what's the relationship like with them? Do you keep in touch with the big bosses, or do you call them, give them a call and let them know what's happening? Just tune in every now and again and give them some media? Or like, because for those who don't know, for those who, some people you get flowed, which is awesome, but for someone being, a proper rider of a team like Rayne, which is a really well-known, downhill skateboarding brand and longboarding in general, what's it like just having that? Because we're in Australia, they're overseas. Yeah. What's the relationship like?
It's good. We talk as often as we can, kind of thing. Just usually just message back and forth. When we're working on ideas, it can be a bit harder being so far away. Yeah. And they're great to deal with and everything like that. Like Tyler, he's the team manager at the moment. He kills it. Yeah. He's real good. So I just send them kind of my ideas, or they send me like what they're kind of thinking for media and stuff like that. And this past year has been a bit slow because not been much going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Usually I send them just like race footage or, podiums or just pictures from races, and that just usually does it. I've got to pick up my media game a bit, I think. I need a few tips and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, we just go back and forth. I've been to the factory when it was still in Vancouver, and that was cool. Working with Graham on some boards there, and
so that's something that a lot of people like kind of dream about. You know, you see all these pretty boards up on the shelves and up on the websites and that, but what's the factory like? What's going to the factory like?
Yeah, so at the factory, it was pretty big. It wasn't like a massive factory, but it was pretty big. It had about 4 or 5 presses in there, and I think 2 CNC machines cutting out boards and all that.
Yep.
And you just kind of walk through, and Graham's like, okay, what are you like thinking for this, whatever, and he just grabs a board and just gets pressed and cut into whatever you're thinking. And
so super hands-on when you go there and
yeah, like it's not like he's just a big boss sitting back or whatever. He actually knew how to do it all, because that's how he started. He started cutting boards out and all that. Yeah. And so he just cut the boards out and would like give it to us, test it, and he had other products there, and got to see other team riders that were working in the factory and stuff like that. Yeah, it's real good vibes.
Be real interesting just seeing, you know, what's in the works and what they're developing, because for a brand like Rayne is you know, my first proper downhill board was a Land Yachts, and then after that I jumped to the Rayne Avenger. But when you think of Rayne, I think back to, you know, the Rayne Avenger was such a iconic board, the kill switch with Kevin Ryman when he was riding for Rayne, and then it just kept going on, like Patrick Switzer with the Fortune, and all the boards that came after that,
G-Mac, and all that,
G-Mac, and I love the wood they use. I love that tattoo. What was it?
Oh, the Sublime.
Yeah, the Sublime graphics, man. Yeah, I just like I appreciate Rayne boards and the construction and
the bamboo.
Yeah.
This the proto that I got at the moment from him is maple, and I haven't ridden a maple board in since 2014.
Since before Rayne,
Since before Rayne. So and I've noticed like the bamboo that they use, I'm just so used to it. Yeah. It's a bit stiffer and everything like that, and you do feel a bit more of the road, but it is nicer feel. Yeah. I think it's a nicer feel, and hopping on a maple board, I'm just a bit weird about it. So yeah, their construction is completely different. Yeah, it's a different
something
different
to get
thing.
used to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so just mentioning Patrick Switzer, such an influential part of downhill skateboarding. Right. Yeah, super awesome to be, you know, on the same team as him. You've probably taken some fun runs with him over the years at different events around the world. Yeah,
definitely. So like, everyone probably did, but watch Greener Pastures growing up. Watch P-Swiss videos and stuff, and he was, I'd probably say, #1 influence. Yeah, like I was just looking up to him, and he's pretty professional in the way he handles himself and everything. He races real well. He's well-rounded bloke. Yeah. And 2016, when I just started the world tour and kind of met him for the first time, I was a bit shell-shocked. It's like, oh, you know, like this is him. He's like, yeah, come for a run. I'm like, oh, go for a run with P-Swiss. Yeah. And then, you know, getting better and better and actually end up racing, kind of like your idol kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird feeling.
Weird. That's what I was going to ask, actually, like, who's the most influential person that you've, you know, met through downhill skateboarding? And I kind of took a guess that it would be Patrick Switzer. But as you said, like, I've always felt there's been this kind of, I'm not, like, I don't have a favourite rider, like we're all skaters, where I come from a place where, like, I was young, getting Concrete Wave magazines, watching videos on Skate House Media, and I had favourites, and I wasn't scared to say it. Oh, yeah. Like, that you look up to these people. So, yeah, meeting Patrick Switzer, I've been on the same team as him, and then, you know, ended up racing him. It's a pretty special thing going from, as you said, like, this is why I get people on the show, talk about where you started, you know, getting given a rainbow and thinking this is the best thing ever, and then all of a sudden you realise, you know, you're over in
Kozakov at the top of the track with P-Swiss, and it's just like, I've seen him skate this for years and on YouTube, and here we are. It's pretty surreal. Like, I did have lots of influences, lots of people I watched, but by far he was like probably the #1 up there. Yeah, and I just kind of wanted to be on Rayne with P-Swiss, and dreams come true. Yeah, that's it, man.
So a time with Patrick Switzer that stands out for me that includes you is the Red Bull.
Oh, the Japan one? Yeah.
Oh, Japan, was it?
Japan,
yeah. Sorry, I got mixed up. Yeah, so talk about that.
So that was like...
how did it come about?
Yeah, so it was end of 2017. I just got back home. Yeah. And I was just chilling at home, and kind of got an email sent through from Graham, I think it was, from Rayne. Yeah. And the Japanese Red Bull had reached out to companies and stuff like that. They didn't really know who to invite. Yeah. They just reached out to all the companies and said, oh, can you just send some riders? And he asked me to go. He asked Patrick to go. Nori, another Rayne rider who lives in Japan. Okay. He was there. And yeah, this road was like, when he first said it, I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, 69 hairpins.
69.
69. It's a good number.
69.
69 on the dot.
Right.
Yeah. And it was about, what was it, 10 Ks long? Or just under 9.8 or something, but 10 Ks long, yeah. And it took 12 minutes to get down, or 11 something to get down. So it was a pretty good average speed. It was about 60 average, I think.
Yeah.
And on Google Maps, it looks like kind of like fake.
Yeah.
It doesn't look as good as what it is, but it is pretty good and pretty rough though. Yeah. Yeah, so we got there. We really didn't get any practice runs from the top.
Yep.
It was wet, so they're like, yeah, you can't do the whole thing. You go to half the track, and we had tested out half the track, and we're like, oh God, this is going to be a mission. Our legs are already dead from 30 hairpins.
I was going to say, what's it feel like on the body?
It was pretty hectic, and this was like the start of my shoulder issues too.
Okay.
And I ended up subluxing my shoulder there and sitting out the rest of the practice day. I'm like, I'll just let myself recoup for the race day. And then we did the race day from the top and 10 Ks runs, and we'd end up doing just two runs. Yeah. So the first heat was a heat of 5, and basically there was 4 of them, and you had to win to get through. Yeah.
What?
So there was how many people? 20 male races there. Yeah. They split up female male. Yep. There was female races there too. I
mean, given the location, it's not going to be a huge event, and with the invite only type deal.
Yeah. So we landed in Tokyo. And it was about 10-hour train ride or bus ride up to there.
Right.
And we took the bullet train back. It was like 3 hours. Yeah. Bullet train's sick. But so we did 2 runs, and you had to win to get through. And it was me and Billy Bones, and it was probably the best heat I ever had, because it was 69 hairpins racing Billy Bones down a track, and we're just dueling. I'm in front, he's in front, I'm in front. And we get to the last couple hairpins, and I stack it, and he just cruises away. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I hop on the board, and I just go hell to leather, try and grip all the hairpins and get to the bottom. But I knew in the back of my head, they said anyone who wins, and then whoever comes second with the fastest time. We had transponders. Okay. So whoever comes second with the fastest time also gets through, just like a wild card kind of thing.
Right. Yep.
And I ended up getting through on that kind of technicality.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the finals, it was just, I got out in front, and then
who was in the finals?
So it was me, Patrick, Billy, Nori, and I think that was it.
Someone.
Yeah. Can't really remember who else.
I mean, that's a pretty special finals heat, man.
Pretty good finals.
Yeah.
But so I had Patrick just lurking behind me for 69 hairpins. Yeah. And then that's that in the back of my head again, this guy I've looked up to my whole life.
That's huge.
And every time I come out of a hairpin, I'd look back, and he'd just be
you
right
see
there.
This blue and orange thing behind you.
With style.
Yeah.
And every hairpin is just there, and then there's a big straight right at the end.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe he's just sandbagging me to get me on the straight, which would make sense.
Yeah.
And then we got to the straight, and I kind of looked back, and it was a little bit further back than I thought. And I was like, oh, we might be on. And then got to the bottom and ended up winning it. And it was a weird win, because we all got to the bottom and we just laid down. Our legs were torched. Yeah. We were all so exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did it feel like to take the win at that event?
Sick.
Japan, not somewhere that, downhill skateboard races are typically held, especially on the IDF World Tour.
Yeah.
Even back in IGSA days, I've never heard of anything being, held over there. Japan. So what was the win like there? I know you said you crossed the line and you laid down because it took such a toll on the body, but when you recovered from that, and what was it like to be over in Japan winning a race?
It's super sick. The Japanese skaters and stuff, they're super stoked. Yeah. Stoked on anything that happens. They were just stoked to have people there. They didn't care that there was a race.
So good.
Yeah, and the little presentation at the top was sick. The whole Red Bull vibe was sick, because it was a pretty professionally ran event, and you could tell that they were doing it as best they could, and they gave us all Skull Candy headphones with the logo on the side and stuff.
Right.
And G-Shock watches and everything for the event.
The sponsors jumped on,
Yeah, and it was this first event where we actually felt like we're kind of racing royalty kind of thing. Yeah, it was really sick.
Dude, that's special, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, and we did all that, and we got to the bottom, and what happened? I think Patrick gave me a hug, but it was it was a happy hug, but not a happy hug kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Would have been interesting.
Yeah, no, it was a good time, but then sat on the bullet train 3 hours back with him and had a good yarn, and he's just a top-notch bloke.
Yeah, he is, man.
Yeah.
So, what'd you walk away with from that event? Trophy, bit of cash. What was the prize?
Trophy, bit of cash was like $1,000 US.
Yep.
Which was good. That was actually probably the first prize I've ever gotten.
Yeah, dude. $1,000 US, man.
But the best thing from that event is because all year I was getting thirds, and that was the first win that kind of like broke it.
Would have felt real good.
Yeah, felt real good. And it was just, Japan's a special place. I wish we had a race there like every year, but maybe in the future, maybe someone can organise it.
Yeah. Shout out to Red Bull for putting that together because, that they made some media from that and got a lot of eyes on downhill skateboarding. And I always think, Red Bull shares these cool videos. I wonder who's sitting at home, never thought of downhill skateboarding before and sees that and goes, I'm going to give that a go. So when someone from, kind of outside of our, community and like someone like Red Bull putting eyes on downhill skateboarding, it just helps out a lot because, as you know, we need more people downhill skateboarding, just skating in general.
Any media is good media.
That's it. Yeah, Mr. Dumb and Dangerous.
anything
works. Let's talk about what are some other sponsors you had around that time?
Around that time when I was doing that, so that was leading up, I had a liquid truck sponsorship.
Okay.
But in 2017, that changed over to Ronin.
Yep.
And that was a big up.
Yep.
Like they gripped like pretty good.
Yeah.
A lot better than the liquids ever did for me, and they were a lot more stable.
Yep.
So I was riding those Ronins at that race. I had Duis at that race. And that was about the sponsorship. I had Basement. They helped get me there. They chucked me like some money for airfares, I think, like that. They helped
Shout
get
out
me
to
there.
Dave at Basement Skate.
Yeah, Dave's a hookup.
All the legends at work there, yeah.
Yeah. That was about it for the sponsors. I had a few other sponsors, but they've kind of like gone from the scene.
Yeah, the way the industry is over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
You said something that I would really like to touch on there and have a little bit of a chat about is the Dui. DUI, your wheel company.
Yeah. So
talk us through it. How did that come about?
So it came about after the 2016 season.
Yeah.
Came home and I was looking. I had to buy wheels like everyone else usually does.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is like stupid. I'm spending.
It's hard when you're in Australia, man.
Yeah. And I was like spending like so much money on wheels. And I looked at the prices and it's nothing really on the shops too much. They're just trying to, sell the wheels for as low as they can. And obviously they got to put a roof over their head.
Yeah.
There's more how much they're being brought in for.
Yeah.
And I looked at that. I'm like, surely there's a cheap way. I'm not paying $120 for a set of wheels. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's hard, man. It's because there's such big prices just to get them into the country. Then they got to go through a distro, a shop, a this and that, and
exactly.
It is
taxes
tricky.
And all that.
Yeah.
So I looked into it and I was like, I think I could possibly make a wheel.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just messaged a few companies, and I knew I wanted to go with an American company because the Chinese companies at the time didn't make quality wheels.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So I looked around, got some protos.
Yep.
Gave some protos to some mates and got their feedback on them, and they were meant to come around right before Newton's.
Okay.
But there was a few little hold-ups, so I had to ride fast Elefantes then.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the whole idea around DUIs was to be a cheaper alternative, but still be a quality wheel.
Yeah.
So I think I brought them in and sold them for about $65 or $70, something like that, which was just $50 off the price.
$50 off the normal price for a set of downhill wheels.
That, and then there was a few boys around that I knew were going to go on the world tour that were in a similar place to me that wanted like 10, 20 sets of wheels.
Yep.
Organising deals for them and freebies for them and stuff like that. So I got Taylor on some. Yep. Taylor Cook.
Yep.
Got him on some. Got Zach Mills on some.
Yeah.
Shredded on them.
I know he did an awesome review when he was over in Spain for him, man. When that video came out, I know a bunch of the boys on the coast were like, all right, I'm going to go get a set now.
Yeah. And Zach could skate him too. Yeah. I could race on him, but I couldn't stand you on him. Like he could really show what the wheel could do, and it was a good all round wheel. It really worked.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep going with it further.
Yeah.
But it kind of got to a point where I was tossing up going on a world tour or making wheels. Yeah. And I got into skating to go skate. Yeah. So I kind of stuck with that and put on the back burner for a bit.
I mean, man, even with like Run and Get that, it's people do not see, they do not know, they do not even think about how much actually goes into doing something like that. Exactly. But there's, money issues and the tax issues with US and bringing them in, it got too tricky. But like, you did a good thing for Australia, man, bringing in that wheel. Like, it's a good wheel. Pick it up. Tell us about the size and the durometer. Like, tell us about the wheel.
Cool. So we got a few protos.
Yep.
and they were all pretty good. There was a 78A, and it was grippier as it should be, but it was kind of slower, so we ended up on 80A. It doesn't feel like a normal 88. It's a bit softer.
I was gonna say, I've rode the 88, like the one you brought out, and it felt like better than other 80A wheels that I've rode.
Yeah, it's like a different kind of 80A.
Yeah.
The core is just, a kind of a big core, and it just worked well on the wheel.
Yeah.
We decided to go with center set. That way you could race on them.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, if you want to go free ride them, you could flip them. You could wear them down to their cord, and they cord pretty well. Yeah. So we went with 75 mil.
Yeah.
68 mil wide.
Sure.
Super wide.
That is good. Yeah.
And then another thing that we did to make them more grippy out of the box is we cut both lips.
Okay.
So super sharp lips on both sides.
Yeah.
Which is good. For your first couple runs down, because you get this real good cut.
Yeah.
And then eventually when they wear off, they round up pretty well.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so it was a good wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the logo, Lockie Ray actually helped come up with the logo.
Yeah, right.
He helped design a lot of the logo.
Couple kangaroos around the edges.
Kangaroos, yeah. Worked out well. Got a good mind on him.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Awesome times to look back on. We've had some very influential companies come out of Australia. You look at the history of downhill skateboarding, there's early skateboards.
Yeah, legends.
Dado skateboards, Glide skateboards. I know I'm not going to talk about Aussie companies without mentioning Get That, but Dui Wheels, DUI.
Yeah.
It's just good to see Aussies just having a go, and it's like, a lot of these companies are coming out of America, but we can do it here.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's a different thing when Aussies are skating Aussie products.
Yeah.
And doing well on them. Taylor's Kiwi, but he won the Junior World Cup season on Dewies, and that was a big thing. That was super sick.
Shout out to Taylor, man.
Taylor's a ledge.
Yeah.
And it's even cooler riding your own stuff that you you'd get the idea. Obviously you design it and it's on you, or you're riding it, something like that, and it's just
it's crazy to think that you can't sleep at night because you got this idea, and you might be writing it down, you might be putting it in your phone or something, and then all of a sudden it's in your hands.
Yeah, and you're using it.
The fact that downhill skateboarders, especially in Australia, wheels are, and when you're a young fella, wheels aren't. They're not hard. They're not easy to get. You know what I mean? $120 for a set of downhill wheels. So thinking about, all right, wheels in Australia are pretty expensive. How can I get in a wheel in that's gonna, be like a sustainable option in terms of money for people who are going on tours and races? Because you do need 10 sets for some trips, 20 sets to go to Europe and things like that. So it would have been a pretty cool feeling to get, an idea in your head to, the wheel that's sitting right in front of us now.
Yeah, and racing on it. The other idea of Dui was just to show the shops and stuff like that, or the other companies they bring them in that they need to drop their prices.
Yep.
And it worked out well because I think the wheel prices dropped a little bit. They kind of came down to be more competitive.
Yep.
And at the time, All Downhill Distribution was around, and they brought their prices in to kind of match Dewi's or be very similar.
Yep.
And everyone was getting a good deal. Everyone was riding more wheels. You were going to races. More people had freshies. More people were more competitive.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
And that's that's what a lot of people might not see or look past that. Yeah, you brought in that wheel at a price point. It actually helped everyone out in the end, no matter what wheel you were riding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everyone was getting better deals.
Yeah. So did you take your Dewies overseas?
Yeah, I took them overseas. Rode them in 2017 season.
Yep.
Rode them in the 2018 season. Got my first ever IDF win on them at Vulcan in the wet. They make actually really good rain wheels. I know the urethane works pretty well in the rain. And I still use them as rain wheels to this day. Yeah. I got a few sets laying around, but rode all through the 2017 season on them. Ended up, I think, fourth at the end of the season. Yeah. On them, which was super sick. That's something that was nothing at the start of the year is now up there on the best IDF board. Yeah.
Insane.
It's a good time.
That's I want to touch on something that kind of had me on the edge of the seat back in Australia when you were over on a Euro tour. I think it was 2017, but you crashed at Kozakov.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Kozakov in general. Do you like the track?
I love the track.
Yeah.
Track hates me.
Yeah.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never had a good result at Kozakov. Just when I think I'm getting the track and getting the racing idea, I either stack it or I just get plain beaten there. 2017 was my second year there.
Right.
And I qualified real well, top 10 somewhere.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, feels like we're kind of on this year.
Yeah.
And we were on. I was like winning my heats up until the quarters.
Yeah.
Or the quarters. And I had this real tight quarterfinal heat with Alex Charles and Marcus Skoda and his name's evading me, an Italian man. Anyway, all super fast boys, and we're all kind of rallying. And you know, Kozkov's a bit of a sandbaggy track now, and back then it even was like if you're in third or fourth down the last straight, no worries because you've got that much time to draft, and it's actually a good spot to be. And I was working it out and. Come around the last corner, the Mark and the Italian bloke, they've just kind of gone way more inside than I thought. I was like, oh, sick, I'm going to go wide and shoot past him. Little did I know that Charleston had slipped out on his wheels or something like that or wobbed off, and he'd gone into the bales, and where I'd started going, his board had started to roll back out on.
Yeah.
And hit his board pretty good and sent me over the bales about 80, 90 Ks an hour and did 2 front flips, missed a tree by, I think, a foot, not even a foot. And then landed in a field and blacked out for a couple seconds and came back to, and just.
And the special part about that stack was that you had your GoPro running the whole time.
Yeah, so I had this big thing in like 2016, 17 and 18. I'd just always wear a GoPro. I thought, you know, like I'd rather get footage than aerodynamics, and I didn't really fancy myself, you know, the best racer in the world anyway. So I was like, well, I'd rather see the footage from it.
Yeah.
So I always had my GoPro on, and got some good footage from it. And I think you're going to show it, aren't you? And it's going to
chuck it up here.
Chuck it up there, and you get to see a couple front flips and me black out. Yeah.
So how does downhill skateboarders and someone on the level that you were even back in Australia years before that event and that trip, what's having the accident like that? You know, at an event, you know, they had the hay bales, everything was put in place, but, you know, we can't just pick up a tree and move it. And it was a freak accident, Alex coming off. How do you, you know, get up off the ground and move on to the next event or take another run? How does it feel being, you know, almost hitting the tree, doing a couple of flips? Like, what goes through your mind after that? Do you get up and you think, oh, that's part of it? Or is it like, oh, man, like, I'm going to take a step back and just, like, think about what, like, because racing... People, it's weird. People forget you pay money to ride your wheeled toy down a hill as close as you can to 3 other fellas
that are doing
or
it,
whoever's skating with you. Like, it's dangerous out there.
It's definitely a weird sport where you pay money to just hurt yourself.
Yeah,
over and over. No, but I got up from the crash and adrenaline's pumping as is.
Always is.
Yeah, got on the board, and I always have this like thing in the back of my head, just finish the race kind of thing. Because it always helps, like, you're standing and all that, and just finish it and then worry about, like, technicalities and shit later. Yeah. So I just got up, went over the line, got to the bottom. Me and Charleston hugged it out. Obviously not his fault, not anyone's fault.
Yeah.
And we just talked about it, joked about it. And then, that night it kind of hit me. I was like, wow, that could have been real bad. Yeah. But at the time I was like, I wish I was in the semis now.
Yeah.
Then that night, I was like, that could have been real bad. Maybe I'll back away from it. And then went to the next event and it was all back out the window. And I don't know, something about standing on the start line, you kind of just, you don't try not to think about what could go wrong, because it will go wrong if you think about it.
Yeah.
And
I might have to write that down. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just like stand at the top of the start line at the next event, next race, next run, whatever it is. And you just think about going to the bottom as quick as you can. And you don't think about, is there a cliff there that I haven't seen, or is there a tree I might hit if I hit the hay bales wrong or something like that. Yeah. You always think the safety is the best, but in the back of our mind, our sport's a bit, like the safety, it could be better. Yeah. Could always be better. It's forever evolving.
Yeah.
I wish it was better, but you can't plan for everything.
That's it, eh?
Yeah.
So just while we're on the topic of crashes, you've had a bit of troubles and the surgery as well. Do you want to talk about that? Just because there's people are tuning in to the Get That Skate podcast, and, you know, falling off your skateboard it's just part of skateboarding. You know, it's like wanting to play footy and not get tackled. Like, it's gonna happen.
It's just gonna work.
But tell us about your injuries and some of the troubles you've had, and not just the troubles physically, but, you know, being, you know, from my perspective, a top level racer, and going through an injury and having to sit back and watch for a while. So what? Just tell us about your injury, and then we'll touch on the mental side of things.
Yeah, for sure. So I got a pretty bung shoulder.
Yep.
So I don't really know when it happened. It kind of got worse and worse to a point where, like the 2016 season, it wasn't really too bad,
Yep.
and then the 2017 season, I know I had a few stacks and I like tweaked it, but didn't think anything of it, and then it finally would start coming out, start dislocating. And I was like, oh fuck, it's not good. So it didn't dislocate too much, but it subluxed a lot.
Okay.
Like 2017 season, it was getting progressively worse. 2018 season, it was by far like horrible. I'd close the car door too hard, it'd come out.
Man.
Yeah, and at this point, it hadn't really hindered my skating.
Yeah.
Like it didn't stop me from skating, but 2018, I'd do a toe slide and it might come out.
Dude.
Kind of thing. And in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, it's not too bad in Australia if it comes out. Just run off the road or something like that. In Europe, when you're on the wrong side of the road and it comes out, you could go under a car. So it's a lot worse. So it didn't happen too often, but a couple times it did dislocate while I was sliding. If I did a slide, if I didn't plan for it too much and just put my hand down and did it, it was in a weird position. It would sublux and stuff like that. So like it just started coming out more and more often. I remember the night before the finals at Kozakov, I was sleeping and I rolled over and somehow it dislocated in my sleep. In my sleep, yeah. And I had to wake up, get Timmy, my brother, up, and woke him up, and we're just there at like 2 a.m. I'm groaning in pain.
Yeah.
He's got my arm in a position trying to just get it back in, and it took us a long time. It wouldn't go back in this night. I don't know why. I don't know if Tim was a bit drunk still, maybe.
Shout out to Tim.
Yeah, and I was just like, just put it back in, just get me in, and then end up racing Kozakov and then finishing up like the end of the season. And I think I was at the end of Euro Tour, and I just made this decision. I'm like, there's no point. Like this is just bad.
Yeah.
So I had to go to America because I already booked flights. Okay. So I went there, did Devils. It came out at Devils doing slides again. It was just at this point, it was just in by a tether, I think.
Yeah.
So I finished up the season, come home, saw the surgeon, got it done end of September.
Yep.
So it kind of all just happened. As soon as I came home, it got done.
The surgery was full shoulder reconstruction, or?
It wasn't quite full. Like there was no metal put in or anything like that. Yep. It was it's two tiny little holes. You can barely even see them.
Yep.
On the front and then one on the back. He kind of just tightened everything up. He really pulled it all tight. So that was end of September, and then this surgery wasn't too invasive.
Yep.
So he said like 6 months is like a pretty good time frame to look at. And then as I was going back and seeing him, he said I was getting better and better quicker.
Yeah.
So 6 months actually put me out for Newtons. Yeah. Which I was not stoked on because 2018 Newtons, I had this like weight on me. I came third and I wanted to do better. 2018, I crashed out and didn't make the finals at all. So 2019, I obviously wanted to come back and do better. Yeah. So I had this like, will to try and get better. But this mental side of it, just like getting through it and like thinking I could be better if I didn't have this shoulder injury and all that. And the time off the board, watching the boys, I was meant to go to South America that year, watching them in South America having like a ball racing those roads. Yeah, it was tough, but like I was glad I was getting this done because it needed to be done. Yeah. It's obviously never good timing to have a surgery and a rehab.
I mean, the forefront of it, you would have been thinking, man, they're overseas having the sickest time. But
I'm meant to be with them.
You're meant to be with them, but you know the surgery was needed and it's kind of worked out in your favour. You got to, it could have happened in the middle of the tour the following year. You would have had to cut it short again. Yeah,
so that's the way I looked at it. Kind of like I looked into getting the surgery done end of 2017. Yep. And then I spoke to the surgeon. He said basically if I can avoid damaging it much more. And if I just go to the gym, start building it up, start getting it better, then it can get better and maybe can avoid surgery for a bit longer, prolong it. Eventually I was going to need it. And I was like, that's good. I'm kind of at a high now. 2017 was a good year. I was like, roll in 2018. Yep. And then 2018 just turned into a shocker with the shoulder and all that. And just decided towards the end of the season, I'll cut it short and just go get it done. Couple of losses.
talking about 2019, kind of jumping around a bit with the events, but there's one I want to touch on. So, 2018, I started to get that skate. Got a box of black shirts done. I had no idea where things were going to go or turn out, but one of the first people to get that shirt was yourself. Mm-hmm. I appreciate that, man. Been on board since day one. Took a half a box of shirts to Newton's 2018, not knowing what was going to happen. Rocked up, a few fellas wearing the shirt. Fast forward a year later, I'd put out the core of Get That, which is a skate graphic shirt. So take a photo of someone, get it illustrated, put it on the back of a shirt, essentially a pro model, do it in some colours that they like. And Newton's was coming up, and you'd 2017, getting on the podium, a lot of press behind you, the whole town, the whole country of downhill skateboarders, as I mentioned before, being a hometown event, literally a hometown event. You're always the favourite, and I thought, well, Newton's is coming up. There's going to be a lot of international people. I might jump in the car, head down to Bathurst, and try to get a good photo of you to put on a shirt.
Just drive 4 hours to take a photo?
Man, I drove 4 hours, took one photo, got some chicken wings with yous, and then jumped back in the car, and I think I went back to uni that night or something. But I thought, well, Newton's is coming back. It's, iconic event. You got Mitch Thompson, whether you want to admit it or not, the hometown hero that the whole country was, betting on to win. And I thought, let's put yourself on a shirt. You put in so much work for Get That, so it had to be done. The support's always been there, and we, ended up getting this photo, putting yourself on a shirt, tucking through the dipper at Newton's at Mount Panorama in the colours of your leathers. You've always had purple and orange leathers, and it's good to see you stuck with them. You're the purple and orange Power Ranger.
Forever.
But put you on a shirt. Newton's comes around. I turn up with a box. Sold out in the first day. I didn't keep a shirt for myself. I run the brand and I had to buy this off someone. Bit silly. But what was special to me about that, before we get to what was special for you about it, was the year before, man, 8-10 fellas wearing Get That. And I'm going to show a clip up here now as we're talking about it. But Newton's 2019, I'll let you tell it from your perspective, but I'm sitting on the elbow during the finals, which you were part of. And I'm filming because I'm like, well, I want to, I'm making videos. I want to get a cool clip of whoever's coming through. Like, this is Newton's #1 Australian downhill event. And then I'm on the elbow, man, and I reckon in my eyesight where I'm standing there filming, there's probably 100 people wearing Get That. Yeah. And the year before, I just started it a couple of days before Newton's, and it kind of blew me away and felt like, oh, yeah, I'm onto something here. Like, I got the downhill community behind it. But there was so many people at that event wearing a purple shirt with a big picture of you on the back. I think while I was skating the event, my mum was down on the elbow running like a stand, or just, screaming out who wants to buy a shirt, and you had like cousins of yours or something, and family members, and that old fella that always comes down and has a yarn to everyone. I forgot his name. He bought a shirt off my mum. He's like, oh, I've never had a purple shirt before. And but 2019 Newton's, Skipple, what happened? You get to the finals. You're in the finals on the start line. Tell us about it.
Well, we can't skip all of it. First, you gave me the shirt at the start of the event, so you put the pressure on me. Yeah. So leading up to Newton's, I didn't skate much at all because I had the shoulder, and it just was getting better, and it was kind of iffy if I should skate or not. I skated 2 or 3 weeks beforehand and felt it out, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to miss out on this. This is silly. And I'm like, it's an all-grip track. We'll be right. We get all the way to the finals. It's all working out well. I've had a few good battles throughout the day, but I'm standing at the top of the finals, and I'm just like, this feels right. Feels right this year, and had mad support from everyone because everyone was kind of backing me, I think, because just where I've come from, I think with the shoulder and all that. So I know the big tactic was at that race, just get in front. Some people tried sandbagging, got eliminated, didn't work for them. Some people tried other tactics. I was just like, my push is pretty good. I'm just going to get in front and stay in front. Pushed in front and got out of all the bullshit and just stayed in front and trucked away. And it worked out. I put on a bit of weight that year, so I think that definitely helped.
Yeah, shout out to the weight.
Yeah, got to help the weight. But could still hear it as I'm coming through the elbow, hooking up from like a little tiny hillside slide. Yep. Just the roar of the boys down there. And
man, it was for you. I can't say how it felt for you, but for me, and I feel like for every Australian, not even every Australian downhill skateboarder, but people who were there who knew that this was your hometown and what you'd been through, you know, doing your best on the tours the years prior and having the surgery. I feel like everyone was backing you and was behind you, but you do, yeah, you said your little hillside, come around the corner, hear the crowd roar, and what's next?
Just tucking down the straight, and in the semis prior, Max Caps got me at the line.
Yep.
And he's a bigger boy than me again, so I knew that he had some weight.
Yep.
I felt like I did everything quicker. Yep. I felt like I went down the S's and everything quicker, and I was like, maybe I've made enough of a gap to get away with this.
Yeah.
And I'm just actually tucking down the straight. I'm literally in my head, I'm just waiting for him. Yeah. He's going to come eventually, and then the line's 2 meters away and nothing. I just crossed the line, looked back, and there was still a pretty big gap, and I just couldn't believe it. It won.
Yeah.
Newton's, I don't know, I was speechless. I got down the bottom. I had skate mum Thea there giving me hugs. She was crying and everything like that. And my brother had bombed down the hill, gave me hugs. It was a good moment. Yeah. All the boys are down there. Harry was screaming like no tomorrow. Yeah. Everyone was stoked.
I'm getting like a little cold shiver right now, man. It's a special moment for any Australian downhill skater to even get on a podium, but to win a race. But as I've mentioned a few times throughout the podcast, man, hometown hero, like watching the event when you're younger, and then, you know, one day being there and winning it, that's special, man.
Yeah.
And man, major shout outs to you, because you did the country proud, you did me proud, and just seeing it all come together, I'm stoked for you, man.
Yeah, it was a really good moment. It just actually I wish I was at Forest Elbow, because the boys up there, I think Fatty got up and started saying Aussie, Aussie, Aussie or something like that.
Dude, it was I filmed you come through, and as you passed me, I kind of just put my hand out, and I was screaming. I was like, yes! And everyone's banging, going on. It was definitely, you know, I wasn't even in that heat. I was standing at the side of the road, but top 10 moments in downhill skateboarding for me, it was being on the corner that day and just hearing the roar of people, like you said, man. Fatty singing Aussie, 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 and then there's clips of you know, crossing the line and just jumping, hugging your brother, and just a celebration at the end. And it's definitely something that not only you should be proud of, but the rest of the country is proud of, man. So,
it was a good release.
Yeah, man.
It was really super stoked with it.
Gotta love it, eh? So and this is the trophy you got from it?
Yeah, that's the trophy.
Yeah, Newton's. And it's funny because you were on the shirt that was put out the event, but you're also on the event shirt and all the event posters, so you can see that there. Mitch Thompson.
It's a good trophy to have when you're on it.
Oh, hell yeah. It's like maybe it was rigged. No,
maybe it was,
special trophy. But
that's a good trophy.
Got a few trophies out here. Now we've touched on Yarra. You got the Yarra Rangers Downhill Festival 2020.
Yep.
Tame the Taipan.
Yeah, so that's the Australian Championships first, I think. Yeah. Tame the Taipan.
Yeah, man.
Right. You've skated it.
No, I've not skated
You've not skated
Nah,
it?
man, I can't. Nah.
You've been there?
I've been. I'm not on that level, bro. Nah, I'm not skating.
I swear.
Terrifies it.
Oh,
Terrifies
it is terrifying.
I would love to do it, but every time the event's on, I've just barely been skating, and I'm just like, nah, I'll watch. I'll make myself useful, make a video or something.
you got to be on one.
Oh,
the
man.
Foot straight up, like we've had a pretty good stack there. Like what can go wrong, but you can enjoy the hill.
Yep.
The hill's super enjoyable, but yeah, so that's from that. That's from 2019.
Yep.
I think. I had a big stack in 2019 and somehow worked out that I won the Australian Championship. It was like an anti-climax, but worked out well.
And that stack actually, just touch on that.
Put that right there.
Yeah, I'm going to chuck it up.
Yeah, it's a good stack.
What happened?
What was it? Consi finals.
Yeah.
Myself and Jevy were in it.
Yeah. Shout out to Jevy.
Jevy, yeah. Andy was in it, and Dan the man from New Zealand.
Yeah, man.
I know it was a super tight heat coming down, and myself and Jevy, we've been in the finals before, and I don't know, I kind of felt like this. Jevy probably felt the same. Like we're a bit, you know, we're not in the finals, so we're a bit, you know, pissed off about that maybe.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Which is fair enough. Yep. But so like we had something to prove maybe.
Yeah.
And then we pushed out on the line. We were 3 wide coming into the first corner, and Andy somehow kind of scooped the middle, got through. Josh got into second. I passed Josh coming into one corner, and also passed Andy on the exit. Ended up in the lead coming the bottom chicane, which is like 80 Ks, right, left, but also wavy. It's like a surf club.
It's like all ripply. And
you just got to.
And earlier in the event, I'm not sure if it was that day, there was the oil spill. As well.
That day early, we had to delay that day. Yeah, there was a bit. I don't know. Everyone was taking it a bit calm, but at the same time, we all had something to prove.
I think had something to prove.
Yeah. So I was in front, and then looking back on the videos from it, the GoPro footage, Josh clapped, but there was that many cowbells and stuff going on, and there was a tiny gap there. I don't know if there's enough room to maybe get the pass done. It would have been super scary going side by side.
We're talking split-second decisions here, right?
Yeah. I ended up getting down in front, passing people.
Yep.
Making the moves and all that, and then I was coming in the last corner, and it was just loud, like eruption from the crowd and everything. Didn't really know what was going on. Didn't hear clapping from anyone else. And looking back on the video, the GoPro videos, Josh did clap.
Yeah.
But there wasn't really much room. I don't know how it was going to play out, if he thought I was going to be able to give him space or whatever, and there was not much there. But we ended up clipping wheels. His front ones got my back ones, and we just went down from there, dragged Andy down with us. He had nowhere to go. Pretty gnarly crash. I did 360s. Josh broke his visor and his helmet. Andy just hit a shed with his back.
Yeah.
Dan almost Bradbury'd it. He almost made it through unscathed. But he ended up hitting a board and just... I think in his head, he thought he's going to take himself out rather than going in with us, like making a 4-man crash.
Yeah.
So he just straight lined into some other bales.
Yeah, right.
Which is good on Dan, thinking. And just like crash kind of happened, adrenaline's pumping. I didn't even know my shoulder was out.
Yeah.
Got up and just made it to the bottom of the hill and then recouped, and we just worked out what happened.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but it's a gnarly track, and I don't know, like I like skating it.
Yeah.
I'm scared to skate it. Everyone's scared to skate it. If someone says, no, I'm not scared to skate this, they're lying straight up. But yeah, it's a gnarly track.
Yeah. So jumping, just having a look at some of the stuff you brought in. I appreciate you bringing all this stuff in, but we got your Transylvania first place opens at Passel Vulcan IDF event. Hold that one up. Pretty special, unique trophy there. Tell us about that event, because I was actually in Europe in 2018. Straja was the first event that we all went to, and then Passel Vulcan was coming around, and it was forecast to rain. And I actually decided, you know what, I'm not going to skate this mental road in the rain. I'll leave it to you fellas. And I took off on a little solo trip.
Yeah.
I think I was in Rome or something at the time, and I'm joining onto the, the live IDF feed, which is always good. Whoever, sorts that out. Yeah. And I'm hearing, Mitty's in the finals, and always been in support of you. But I was sitting on some random bed in an Airbnb in Rome.
Airbnb?
Yeah.
Splashed
Airbnb, mate, in Rome.
Jack, are we supposed to yell "get that" to the racers, or just to the Aussies right here?
Get that! Get that!
Yeah. Everyone. Okay, apparently.
Does Ian Coggan have fluoro board shorts on? Please ask. No, Jack, he doesn't.
And I'm just thinking, man, he's done it again. He made it to the finals. What's going to happen? And I stayed on the live the entire time. And you take it from here. What?
So this is 2018.
Yep.
This is kind of peak shoulder issues kind of thing. And this is like not feeling great about racing kind of thing and all that. I haven't had a win yet on an IDF circuit, and the other boys, Harry and Josh, were killing it that year. They were getting wins and stuff like that, and they were not IDF wins, but they were winning other races and stuff like that and destroying it and doing really well. And I just had this like underwhelming, I wasn't doing that great.
Yeah. So
then, Vulcan came around, and I actually prefer skating in the rain.
A lot of people have said that.
Yeah, it's in the dry, like you've got to go hell to the wall.
Yeah.
In the wet, like you got to go really fast, but it's more about a bit survivally.
Okay, yeah.
So you can not hold back a bit, but you just can take it a bit more chill. In the dry, it's a beast, and if you come off, you know about it. But anyway, we raced all day, and actually, I shouldn't have been in the final.
Yeah, right.
I first heat I had with Max Heaton and a couple other fellas.
Shout out to Max.
Maxi boy.
Yeah.
We had a heat, and Max is always funny because he takes racing. He's like, oh no, I don't take racing seriously. You put him in a start line though, and he's going to be the best racer in the world. Yeah, he's like, I'm going to be the this, that, and he can race.
Yeah.
It's really funny. But I pushed off, and as I pushed off, my shoulder dislocated. It came out. And yeah, so you got to push off at Vulcan, and then there's a right hand in the wet. There's a right hand drift straight away, and it's my right shoulder. And I'm coming into the corner trying to shimmy my shoulder and get it into like back in or whatever. And then I'm like, oh fuck, the corner's coming up, and just put my hand down, and obviously nothing's going to work. And I just fell off, ate it, got back up, recruit myself. Everyone's just gone past me. There's a left hand corner next, and I'm going down that left. I'm like, oh, I don't have a puck on my left hand. Quickly swap my puck over. Yeah. Put it down, slid. And then I saw Max is there, and I slid and kind of like slid off the road because I was just like not ready for the drift. Yeah. I slid off the road, got up. Max is like having a hissy fit about something because he crashed out, and and he's like kicking his board, and he's not about, oh, his board's gone or something like that. Yeah. And I've like come over to him, and I was going to hug him and be like, yeah, bro, it's okay. And he's like, no, you go, bro. I'm like, I don't have a puck. He gave me his puck. Yeah. So I'm in third, so you need to get top two to pass through. So I put his puck on. My shoulder's now back in its spot, ready to rock and roll. Well, I thought it was back in. Through the track, end up passing a guy to get into second and making it through. Get to the bottom, realise it's not in the right spot, hang my shoulder over the garter out the bottom and fully readjust it back into where it's a normal shoulder, not half. And then make it through the rest of the event, get to the finals. And it's me, Haz, Hurtler, and Adam Westfall. Yeah, right. Yeah, we're at the top, and I was counting my blessings. I was like, I shouldn't even be here. Shouldn't have made it past first round. But the semis was really, really tight semis to get there, and Harry got out in front on the push, and I could tell that being in front on this track in the wet was just worth it. Yeah. You didn't get sprayed from people. Yeah. Not being near anyone, doing like 100 down a straight in the rain. That's also nice. And I could tell Harry got in first, and he just took off. And I'm like, wow, for finals, I need to be in first because that's the spot. And got the push, got the start, got into first, just got away. Harry binned it somewhere. I think he was kind of coming for me, but slid out and hit a hay bale. And I just held on to it and came around that corner. And it was like a miniature version of the Newtons thing because not as many people there, but same kind of. I came around the corner, I just heard my name getting shouted and everyone being stoked, and I kind of couldn't believe it because it shouldn't have happened. Yeah. But it did. It's all worked out.
And you crossed the line?
Crossed the line in first, and that was my first IDF win, and kind of a weight lift off my shoulders because that season nothing had really lined up. I'd made podiums and stuff, but my expectation was set so high for 2018 because 2017 was so good, and I just wasn't meeting what I dreamed of. And then that kind of took a weight off my shoulder, and I think in Nussman's documentary, it just comes up for a quick interview. I'm just like, finally on top or something like that.
And that was real special to see because I was just about to touch on that. People, you're sitting here with everybody watching and listening, and you're saying, oh, I wasn't supposed to be there, where from my perspective, it's like you've put in so much work to be there. You deserved every part of it.
Yeah, it's just, I guess it all fell in place the right way, maybe. Yep. Yeah, you kind of look back on that, and maybe if I didn't crash in the first round, I would have gone out in the second, something like that. So, yeah.
So, what'd you walk away with from that win?
Pat on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
you get this pretty unique trophy.
Walked away with that. There. That's probably
cool.
One of the more special trophies to me.
Yep.
Just because it's the first one that ever said first place
Absolutely.
At the IDF event.
Yep.
Got free rego for the next year, so that's
right.
also nice for them.
Hell yeah.
And I'm always going back to Romania anyway. Yeah. So that's
really
always a good one.
Place. How was the party that night?
Yeah, good. Worth it.
Yeah.
It was soggy, but
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely worth it. I'd definitely much rather do that track in the dry.
Yeah.
Sorry, the wet, not the dry.
Yeah.
The dry, it's fun to skate in the dry. Racing though is like terrifying though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone I've had a chat to about it and like has talking about the bottom part of the track when 2019 when he went there. It's just like, yeah, some wicked stories from that. And it's a good thing about the podcast is I can have anyone who's been to that event or any event and just say, oh, so what was it like from your perspective?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's different.
There's something that's sticking out on the table here that catches my eye. A little sparkly thing down here is pick that up. Just show the camera what have you got there, mate?
Gold Coast medal. So
Gold Coast longboarding medal. Shout out to Striker. Shout out to Canada. Shout out to Coast Longboarding. Yeah, what event did you pick that one up at?
A weird one.
Yeah.
Can you guess? I haven't told you, I don't think. It doesn't say anything on it, but just can you get a vibe from it? Yeah.
Not Danger Bay. I don't know. What event was it?
Yeah, so Philippines.
What?
Yeah. So it's a funny story. I shouldn't have a Gold Coast medal.
Okay.
From how I got it. So, you know the Siki Hall?
Yep.
Obviously talked about it recently.
Yep.
On the other podcast.
Yep.
They have a teams race there.
Right.
That's not from the teams race. We won the teams race with Benny.
Yep.
This is from the single man race on the same track.
Okay.
And I was in the finals and crashed in the last corner and ended up coming fourth.
Yep.
And then through somehow they had heaps of small medals, and they gave first place the small gold one and so on, second, third. They got to me and I don't know if they felt bad or something, but they're like, oh, we don't have a fourth place, anything.
Yeah.
Here's this Gold Coast medal.
Yeah, right.
So it's not a deserved one, but then I kind of made up for it later in the year by going to Jake's Rash and winning the juniors, and I got a smaller Gold Coast medal.
Yeah.
But that one's like it's a weird technicality. I'm not giving it back.
Yeah.
But it's a weird technicality one.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, I don't know, it's one of the more pride kind of things because they don't have them anymore.
Yeah.
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 Super stoked.
So when I hit you up to jump on the podcast, I said bring some important things by, and when you pull out that Gold Coast medal, like despite where you got it, you know, if Coast Longboarding is supporting an event anywhere, and there's an opportunity to get one of the medals, and just take it, man, because Coast Longboarding's got a lot of history behind it. And
exactly, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, really?
I mean, I know, you know, when I told you to jump on, you probably would have thought I'm only going to bring my board. It was kind of me hassling you to bring all the trophies. Like, I don't, if you know, Mitty is not someone who's going to, you know, take these everywhere. And he probably didn't even want them on the show, but I said, bring them on and we can have a chat about certain things. But yeah, seeing that Gold Coast medal along with, you know, your Yarra, your Newtons and all these other trophies that you got, it's, be proud of yourself, man, because you've done a lot, not obviously for yourself and your family and your crew, but like Australia's, we've always been backing you. But there's one more up here that I want to touch on that's pretty significant, pretty important. It's this World Roller Games lanyard. Tell us about World Roller Games for those who don't know about it.
Like if there was ever a professional event to be done for us that I've been to or in my era, it's World Roller Games. So it kind of came around as like rumors in 2018, I think. People were talking about, there's going to be an event in Barcelona and we're included. Okay. It's been going on for a while. I don't know how long. Yep. It's usually just been like roller skating and stuff like that, skateboard vert and park and stuff.
Well, Zach Mills Goodman actually told me he used to do a bit of roller skating when he was younger. And it was like an event that was like kind of set in the eyes of roller skaters back in the day.
Yeah, right.
But so 2020 comes around.
Yeah.
And downhill skateboarding's in it.
2019, I think.
2019, sorry. And how did that come about for you?
So when we finally heard about it, that it was going to be in concrete, was around the same time as Newtons, I think, was starting up. Like that's when we had to work out a team.
Yep.
So we were just going to base it off results and stuff like that and just work out a solid team for that.
Yep.
So we just went to a vote.
Yep.
I'm on the ASRA board too.
Okay.
I didn't want to be included in the vote because, you know, I want to be on the race team, but it's a bit conflicting. But I won Newtons that year and I ended up being Australian champion. So it was kind of some good backing to be in the team.
Made a lot of sense for you to be in the team,
So we made up our team, 6 people, I think it was, or 5 people.
And who were the people on the Aussie team?
So it was Harry.
Yep. Harry Clark.
Harry, Jacko.
Yep.
Zach Mills.
Yep.
Timmy.
Yep.
Brother. Shannon.
Yep.
Shannon was shredding.
Yeah.
Like it still is shredding, but like that year was his real glow up, 2019, and Oh, he was on a warpath. He can push like no tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he was like a wild card thing. No one really knew about Shannon, so we had him there.
Yeah, special.
And then myself on the team.
And Jazz.
And Jazz representing females.
Yep.
And then we had Luge, we had Fatty.
Okay, yeah. Shout out to Fatty.
Yeah, shout out to Fatty. We had Julian Slaney.
Yep.
Melbourne man. Who else do we have in Luge? We had Grits. Oh,
yeah.
Grits.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a beast.
Of course.
He is a beast. And then we had Luke Webb on actual roller skates.
Okay.
On downhill. Yeah. So we had all custom leathers.
Yep.
We had Australia leathers. Super well run event.
And who sorted those out for the team?
Yeah, so Lancey Boy helped with it. Azra helped with it. Mum and Dad with a real estate company, and they actually paid for the leather. So we were kind of like none of us had to pay for it. Thank God.
Shout out to them.
Thanks, that realty.
Yeah.
So we just had like a little logo on it, but everyone got custom leathers, and we looked
Aussie colours,
green and gold. We looked super professional. Everyone else was rocking up in their normal race leathers, and we had these green and golds.
How good.
We looked proper. Yeah. We had Aussie flags everywhere.
Yeah.
Skate mums galore.
Yeah,
coming out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
Yeah, super sick. And just the vibe there, bro. It was mini Olympics.
Dude, there was a lot of speculation and talk about the track because some I think a video came out of the track and, everyone's having their say, and then the track got changed like kind of real last minute, hey?
Yeah, so the video came out and the track looked pretty banging.
Yeah.
It did have a flat section in it. Everyone's like, oh, that's not really. But it had drifts in it. It kind of showcased downhill skateboarding, like the whole vibe of it.
Yeah.
Like drifting, racing, long track kind of thing.
Yep.
And then we're all kind of stoked on that. And then, a month maybe before the track got changed.
Yep.
And it was due to that they couldn't close the other road down because it was too vital and stuff like that.
Okay.
And it would have been a big ass after seeing the track.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot of roads to close just for that.
Yeah.
And the new track was kind of short. It was kind of quick. It was like 80 or so, pushing 90 in a draft. It's kind of short though, so it was all about your push.
Yeah.
And then you just had to like tuck, and there was only one spot to pass really.
Yeah.
So the track didn't really showcase, I think, what we can do.
Yeah.
But it was good racing, good tight racing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, people didn't really care about the track too much. It was more just about the vibe of like how like well run it was. Yeah. Like officials taking care of everyone and all that.
How good is that?
Yeah, everyone sobering up.
Yeah.
Because they're all scared about getting drug tested and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It made everyone act real professional.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to see where the sport can be and where it could be going and should be going, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's my whole thing. And you hear this chat about skateboarding getting into the Olympics one day. And obviously I'm a downhill skater through and through. But to me, it makes a lot of sense to have downhill skateboard racing. Clear first, clear second.
No judging.
Third and fourth. No judgment.
Yeah.
But yeah, so how was the event for you, skating wise?
Yeah, it was good. Qualified, I think fourth or fifth or something like that.
Wow.
We're up the times were like super close because short track, and then there's not really much variation. Like everyone can skate that track well. It's kind of like Maryhill.
Yeah, okay.
Everyone can skate that really well, so it makes racing tight.
Yeah.
Same thing as this track. It was just 4 or 5 S-bend corners that you could tuck nearly all of it for.
Yeah.
And so the times are really close. End up 4th or 5th, and then the racing missed out on the finals by bugger all. Like a bit of rubbing is racing going on because that's just kind of what the track turned into. A bit of rubbing, a few blues at the bottom with some other people.
Yeah, I've heard those stories. It's not not ideal, but shout out to Oscar.
Yeah, took it like a champ.
Yeah.
So I didn't make the finals. Harry made the finals though.
Shout out to Haz.
And he had to work in those finals.
Yeah.
There's clips from it. And he worked in those finals. I think he fought for that second place like no tomorrow. And he got it by barely a lip of a wheel.
Yeah.
But like stuff all. Dane, he was unstoppable on that track.
Yeah.
He's probably got the best push in the world, like quickest push in the world. And he just got in front and you couldn't catch him. I had him in the semis and he was gone. And I was left fighting for second and didn't get through. Was in the Consi final with Jan, Tiago Moore.
Yeah.
And who else? Can't remember myself. Oh, Daniel Engel.
Okay,
Dangle.
Yeah.
And we were all just kind of stoked to be there. And it was still a good race in the end.
Yeah.
Tiago got me on the line, so I ended up 6th. But it's always fun racing those Brazilian boys. You don't get to race them as often now.
Yeah.
Super stoked that they came out for that event. But yeah, hopefully in the future we get to race them more often because those boys they have a level.
Yeah, they do, don't they? Yeah.
Really good racing down there.
So what was the party like for World Roller Games?
The after party was...
After all the things that needed to be done were done, how was it?
Oh, super sick. It was, I don't know, I think we just went around Barcelona. I've never been to Barcelona before.
Yeah.
Super sick city.
Yeah.
By the beach, we kind of just stumbled our way to the beach, had a party on the nightclub. Again, it got a bit wild for some people and all that. I took it pretty tame and got back and had actually pretty good sleep.
Yep.
Because the next day...
You didn't Lockie Ray yourself?
Didn't quite Lockie Ray myself.
Yeah.
Didn't quite Dane myself. I don't know if you've heard about those stories. Yeah.
I won't insert the photo here.
Don't insert photo here, but...
If you know it, you know it.
Yeah. He always gets wild and Barcelona kind of beat him back, I think, a bit. Shout out to Dane.
Yeah.
I knew that the next day we had to go to Italy because we had Vidicchio like 2 days later or something. Like I knew that couldn't take it too wild because we ended up catching a ferry.
Yeah, right.
From Spain across to Italy.
Wow,
rather than driving. Because we worked out the tolls to get there were going to be the same. So we just drove our car into a big ferry. Yeah. And kind of just sat on a big ferry to...
Yeah, that would have been...
like 18 hours on a ferry.
An experience.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good time. We didn't do much. There was not much to do.
Well, a bit of a rest after a hectic week in Barcelona. Yeah. I didn't go on the 2019 Euro Tour, but I remember World Roller Games, a live stream was happening. I obviously hit up all the boys I usually skate with, and they were busy, but I hit up trusty Uncle Duddy. Uncle Duddy came around and bought a 6-pack for himself, and we sat down and watched it. And as I've been saying, a few times throughout this podcast, man, being an Australian downhill skateboarder and loving what we have and the shredders that we have, to sit there on the couch next to Duddy and just watching from the other side of the world, yourself, all the Aussies that were on the team, Has in the finals, everyone doing their best over there. It was unreal, man. Yeah. And that's something I hope downhill skateboarding can get more coverage like that. The live streams are always good.
Always helps.
Organisations like World Skate coming in and have providing the infrastructure to put on events like that and to reach it out to people who aren't familiar with downhill skateboarding. As I said, man, if the Olympics want skateboarding in it, downhill skateboarding is the way to go.
It's the easy choice in my mind because it's who wins. Yeah. Who's the best kind of thing. Yeah. There's no style points or whatever.
That's it.
You got to get the hill the quickest. Downhill. Yeah.
So, World Roller Games, man, obviously something to be super proud of. Your first place in Passel Vulcan. Yeah. Newton's, for me, as a, not only a friend, but, a fan of good downhill skateboarders and good Australian downhill skateboarders, Newton's is a standout win for me, being a hometown boy.
It's my favourite.
Yeah. Might just touch on your board at the moment because if you're an Australian skateboarder or if you're a skateboarder from around the world, you know that this has been in the works for a while. I might just...
I got one here, actually.
Oh, you got one down here? Yeah, so we got the board... You've been on Rayne since what? How long have you been on Rayne for?
Since about 2014. Yep. Around then sometime. I can't remember exactly, but fair few years now. Yep. I've been riding those boards for ages. Been to the factory. Yep. Factory's now moved from Canada to America. Okay. In Oregon. And it's been in the works since about 2017. Yeah. Since when the small water era came in. Yeah. Like 2017. And I kind of went to Graham and said, no one's riding big boards anymore. They all want small ones. And he's bounced back and said, well, let's do a board. Yep. Well, didn't say pro mod, but he's like, help me make a board kind of thing. Yeah. So chopped up a board, and then out of that ended up coming the Genesis 30. Yep. Board I've ridden since then, been great. But always on the cusp was, a little pro model or something like that. Yeah. This isn't quite it. This is the first proto.
So we're on our way.
We're on our way.
Prototyping.
We're closer than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is prototype. Not much I can really say about it, but it's amazing. Yeah. I've stepped on it. I was stepping on it expecting I'm going to have to get the sandpaper out and, rub some, because it's got some, bit of Pleasure Dome W in the back. Yeah. A few micros and stuff like that going on. A bit of rocker. Yeah. A few flares and wheel arches. A few different things. Yeah, if you can get down this camera there. So it's got all that going on. I really expected to have to do a bit to it because it's kind of hard being in Australia telling someone in Canada and America that this is kind of what you want.
The small changes that need to be made.
Yeah, and I was expecting to step on and be like, oh, this is not close, but this is actually pretty close to what I wanted. So you can maybe expect it in the very near future.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, there's a lot of people that have been waiting for it, but you got the one on the table set up, and you got this deck here. I think there's what were you saying? Some width differences in them. Yeah,
this one's slightly narrower than that one. I haven't had a chance to test this one. This one feels really good, and I don't know. I kind of like a little bit of a wider board, but we'll see how the narrow one goes.
And I'm gonna hold you to it because we had a little chat about it last night. But you're gonna test out both boards and just the final touches, the widths that you're interested in, whatnot. But Rayne, I'm just gonna say Rayne's lucky to have someone like Mitch, not only because he's a shredder, but I feel like every time I've been told or seen or I've been with Mitch and he said, yeah, they've sent a few boards over to me. Mitch will take what he needs and he'll give the homies, the Bathurst crew. You look at the Bathurst crew, they're all on Rayne boards, and that's a very special part about riding for different companies is, if you're shredding, that's fantastic. You're winning races and doing this and that. But if you're getting the community, your local community, your crew on the product, that just makes it even better.
Yeah.
And you're going to test out these boards, and you want to get some feedback on, what some free riders think of it.
Yeah, like I'm not going to say I can free ride. I can do standies. I'm not the greatest free rider in the world. I definitely know my my calling, and it's not stand up slides as much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of bounced it off your head. I'm just like put it out there. Who can really test this out for standy slides, and kind of like a style that I like too.
Yeah.
And so after I test out both widths and kind of see what I think,
I'm
gonna pass it over to
Aiden Essex.
Yeah.
Just touch on Aiden Essex real quick. He's one of the boys from Newcastle, which is Central Coast, where we're at now, is about an hour north of Sydney. Newcastle's another hour north. Aiden's this shredder. He's putting GoPro selfie vids up because he doesn't necessarily have a massive crew and get the opportunity to jump in front of the camera. But we were chatting last night about, after you have a go at these boards, who's someone who can give you a bit of feedback.
Yeah.
Possibly some vids or whatnot. Just to jump on the board and to get a free rider, because people these days, free riders, the boards are getting smaller and smaller, just like it was for the races. So
they prefer them smaller, I think now. Not too sure.
We'll eventually get a deck out to Aiden Essex, and I'm sure he can take it for a spin, let you know what he thinks, and let Rayne know what he thinks, and then eventually hoping to see, because this is, what graphics this one?
This is just a spare one they had laying around. It's not on any other board. It's a similar one to the Dark Side graphics that they got. But yeah, it's going to have a different graphic to this. They're kind of going back to that Avenger style.
Okay,
graphics.
So have you been in talks with Rayne about the graphic?
Yeah, I've been sent a few.
Yeah.
Still got to pick. That's kind of the last thing.
Yeah.
I'll just get like chucked on
the
the
specs right, and then we'll worry about the artwork later.
Exactly. Get bit of urethane on it maybe and all that, and make it all pretty.
We'll see what happens. And I know not only the country but the world's going to be pretty excited when that Pro Model board does finally come out, because it's been a while. But as you said, with our prototyping and being across the oceans, it is a difficult thing to get through. But I'll just make a shout out to Rayne, like for helping Mitty out over the years and helping him get to events and whatnot. Yeah, it's very appreciated.
Housing me, giving me stuff.
Yeah, but just I feel like we can't wrap the podcast up without talking a little bit about Timmy.
Yeah.
So Timmy, I remember the first time meeting Timmy was at we're at Lithgow. We're in the Jenolan Caves session, and I met him on a corner, and he's just saying, "Oh, I've just got back from Canada. Like, yeah, I'm just starting the longboard." And then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, I'm over in Kozakov watching him
shred.
Yeah, watching him just go like insane, man. And then as we were mentioning, like making the World Roller Games team. So
yeah, his progression's crazy.
What's the gap between you and Timmy?
9 years. Yeah. So it's kind of like I was starting high school. He was starting to travel the world. He had a gap year, and then as I was kind of coming through high school, I just saw him having these wicked adventures.
Yep.
And then it kind of was lucky that skateboarding came along, and I had a avenue to follow these kind of adventures and kind of thing. And on the onset, I wasn't planning to get Timmy like involved in skating. Like I sent him decks when he was living in Canada and stuff like that, and just said, "Oh, this is my hobby. You know, you might want to be into it." He was always into skate park skating, like trick skating, and he was pretty good at that. So I sent him some decks, and he got into it. Sent me a few videos, and like he was pretty kooky, let's be honest. But he was getting better and better. And anyway, I went over there 2016 before the tour in America kicked off.
Yeah.
And originally the plan was he was going to come to a couple of events, I think, or he was going to come with me or something like that, but not skate. He was just going to come and hang out and be a groupie, I think. And then he went to one event and he's like, no, stuff it. Well, I actually went to the hill prior to the event and he's like, this is the hill? I'm like, yeah. He's like, nah, stuff this. I'm gonna do this hill.
Yeah, right.
So luckily I brought my spare set of leathers just in the back of my mind. He used them for the rest of the season. Yeah. And he literally learned to slide properly at Britannia.
Dude.
At the race, in the rain.
Think about that.
Yeah.
People.
Previous to Britannia, in the new Dexter Manning video, he's skating a golf course. Yeah. It's got a right-left. Yeah. Me and Jevy spent an hour and a half up there trying to get Timmy to learn toe slides and heel slides on that exact same hill. I saw it in the video. I was like, wow. Yeah. And anyway, and then his progression from there just like skyrocketed. He did every single event that year except Killington. Yeah. Just was not down with that Killington. But since then he's done it. But he went to Europe. He skated Kozakov in 2016. He just did every event in 2016. And it was annoying because he got really good really quick. Yeah. And we rented an RV together. And since 2016, every year we just went on skate trips. Yeah. Yeah. And at the end of every year, he's always said, might, not do as much next year. And that's always a lie because he ends up doing the whole tour again.
Yeah. But shout out to Timmy, man. It's good person to be around. I'd love to have him jump on one day.
He's got some stories.
Man, as I said to you before, you're welcome to jump on any time, and it would be good to get him on, and then it'd be good to get the two of you on and just talk some stories.
Definitely bring him down.
But before we wrap it up, any other thank yous? I know you've got supportive parents, man, that have really backed you the whole way, and as I've said, like not only for yourself, but they've done a lot for Australian skateboarding. So any shout outs?
Yeah. Mum and dad, I don't know where anyone would be without like a supportive mum and dad, really, like getting you to events or, helping you out. Because, you got no money when you're younger. Like obviously they got to buy you some gear to get you started until you can back it yourself or stuff like that. So they helped me with my gear when I was younger and all that. They helped me get me to events. Timmy, I probably wouldn't be traveling the world if it wasn't for Tim because I was too young and too dumb to do half the traveling, and he was seasoned vet and he knew what to do. Yep. Shout out to Timmy. Shout out to my girlfriend Taylor. Yep. She puts up with a lot. Yeah.
Shout out to her, someone who's always backed you, always been there, supporting you at events and just being a supportive. You need that, man. You need it.
Letting me travel for half a year every year. Yeah. Which is good. I don't know. She probably likes it. Probably likes getting me out of her hair for a while. Yeah. Shout out to the sponsors. Shout out to Rayne. Yep. They're a big part of it all. Obviously, my longest sponsor now. Yep. Rohard Trucks, that's a new one. I'm not even well versed enough to talk about these trucks properly. Yeah. I could barely talk about them, but like the upgrade I've made since I've hopped on them is just amazing. Yeah. They're so precise. Yeah. Venom, they helped me out with a bit of gear here and there.
Shout out to Venom. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Shout out to Basie Skate still around there kicking. Haven't been in there in a while, but I got dropped down soon. Yep. Shout out to all them. Just a big shout out to all the homies that are still around skating. Yeah. If it wasn't for people skating, you wouldn't skate as much. Without events happening, people putting them on like yourself, like Jacko organising skate sessions like that and everything. Hopkin getting events done, stuff in the pipelines and everything.
Nicole and Julian and the Azra squad, putting things together. It's exciting times ahead.
I think the Aussie skate scene has the biggest supportive team. Like everyone's in it for each other. Yeah. Everyone does what needs to be done. It's great.
And that goes hand in hand with Get That. Get That wouldn't be where it is today without the support of the country and the world as well. But so many important people in the country that help out in any way that they can, and that's what makes downhill skateboarding in Australia what it is.
Yeah, and now look, Get That's giving back. Yeah, man. Having events, bro.
Trying my best.
Getting people out, getting everyone on the podcast and everything, getting these stories out. Yeah. Super sick.
Yeah, so if you're someone who watches the podcast, I know I say it every episode, but we really appreciate you tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast with Mitch because this is one of my favorites I've done so far. A lot of good stories, and as I said, man, happy to have you back whenever you want to come back, jump on. There's so much that we can talk about, man.
Lots of stories.
But yeah, leave a comment. Leaving comments on the YouTube videos really helps us out. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to hear. Pass it on to your friends. Go tell all those companies that you love to check us out and be a part of it. And it's been a pleasure having you on, Mitch.
Great.
I really appreciate it, man. Good stories, trophies, board, everything. I'm excited to you know, proud of the past, but excited for the future for you. And I just got to say, man, really appreciate you run and get that as much as you can. You know, putting it on your leathers, wearing the shirts when you're out skating, it means a lot. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the future brings for us.
Yeah, let's see where it goes.
Yeah,
see what happens. Thanks, bro.
Thanks for jumping on. Thanks everyone for watching. www.getthatskate.com. Check us out there. Go get yourself a shirt. Support us in any way you can. And as I said, man, just leaving a comment, sharing something on your social media, that's enough. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm Jack Meyn from Get That Skate. This is Mitch Thompson, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one.